Welcome to the Stressless Eating Podcast, where we help diet-obsessed and food-crazed women break themselves out of the food and body prison, end the dieting madness, and take control of their health for good. I'm your host, Leanne Ellington, and this podcast is about answering one question. How can you heal your relationship with food and your body and take a practical approach to this whole self-love journey, but without all that restriction, obsession, and shame, and without needing years of therapy just to do so? If you want to know the answer, you're in the right place. All this information is 100% free, so please subscribe to and review our podcast. Okay, hello. We are back for a very special episode of the Stressless Eating Podcast. And as you ladies know, I just love to bring on my friends, my colleagues, my coaches, people who have influenced me in my life. And today is no different. I have the beautiful, amazing Toyin Crandall here on the podcast. So hello, Toyin.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Leanne.
Absolutely. Well, Toyin and I met through a business program a couple of years ago, and I was just floored by her way of thinking, her way of being. And so we got in some conversations, and we ended up working together on, my own mindset around my own self-worth, my own purpose, how it related to my finances, to accruing debt, to all those things. And a lot of people might be listening to this podcast thinking, like, what is like money mindset and self-worth have to do with stressless eating? Well, we're going to get into that because as we both know, it has a lot to do with it, that self-worth and net worth conversation. So before we dive in, can you kind of just share a little bit about yourself and who you are and what brought you to become the woman that you are today?
Yes, absolutely. So my name's Toyin Crandall, and I actually just maybe 4 years ago really struggled with my husband and with my family. We were struggling so much financially that we ran out of food and we didn't have a place to live. And out of that experience created this process that has helped us to shift our minds to a place where today we are multimillionaires with 8 streams of income, running a very thriving company. But more than that, we've helped people pay off millions of dollars worth of debt and increase their income and net worth by tens of millions of dollars. I'm a best-selling author, high-performance success coach, and I just love that we can birth so much good out of some of the most painful experiences in our lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're just a walking testimony of how that is. Like some of the rock bottom moments of your life, you turned it into purpose, Yes. So let's dive in. And I mean, there's so much more about you that we could share, but let's dive in and talking about this conversation, this connection between a woman's self-worth and then what her finances look like. So whether that's, what she's charging, what she's allowing herself to be paid based on the performance or the value that she's giving, financial position. Like there's a lot of people that are living in debt and living beyond their means. And again, people might think like, what does this have to do with my self-worth and my identity and all that? Can you just kind of shed some light on that for us?
Man, there's so much that, I could say about this. But first of all, I just want to say for those of you guys who are listening and, one of the biggest focuses for you is getting comfortable in your own skin enough to not care about food and to not focus and obsess about that. Now, money is this area of many people's lives where it's insidious because it's almost like it goes under the radar until it's not under the radar anymore and you can't ignore it and it's right in front of you and you're like, wow. Right? And what often happens is a lot of people think that the financial challenges that they're facing are strategy problems. So they think if I just do a different type of strategy, if I just get a different coach, or if I do a different job, then everything's going to be better. But I want you guys that are listening to ask yourself a very honest question, okay? Has your income increased over the years? Because many people will say, if I increase my income, I'm not going to feel as broke as I do, or I'm not going to be as stuck as I am. Has your income increased over the years? What I found was when I started asking myself these very real questions about whether you're willing to receive, like, let's talk about your self-worth. A lot of people undercharge, like if you're a business owner, undercharge for their services and they know it and they don't like it, but they can't change it. And every time they put themselves out there, they put themselves out there for less than what they are worth. And they know it and they hate it. And not just business owners. People do this in their careers as well. What they'll do is they know they are not getting paid their value and they hate it. But they just can't bring themselves to do something about it. And now, let me be honest, some of you have tried. Right? That's the truth. Like, sometimes you do try and you hear these motivational speakers that tell you, state what you're worth and go for what you're worth and don't settle. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm not going to settle. And so you change your price, or you talk to your boss and you're like, I am asking for a raise. And then you hear, no. Like, they're just like, no. And you wonder, like, every time I try to implement these big, bold movements that so many people tell me to do, it's not working for me, even though it works for other people. And one of the things that people don't realize is often it's because we truly, deep down inside, don't feel worthy of receiving whatever it is that we're putting ourselves out there and trying to have. Yeah. And so often you find a lot of women who are doing the most and receiving the least. And it doesn't matter what they seem to do, because this self-image isn't changing at a root level. They are not able to receive what they should be having for what they're doing. Yeah.
And it becomes an identity. There's a couple different levels of this, as it's okay, what am I receiving now? And am I receiving what I'm actually worth? But then also, if you have a story that, like, this is who I am, this is how it will always be, you are eliminating possibility. Hard. Yeah.
That's right. I have to work hard to make money. I'm stuck. I'm always going to be stuck about food. There's so many of these beliefs, guys, that we have in our brains. Debt is normal. I'm always going to be stuck. Only, like, other people change, but not me. Yes. There's these stories that we tell ourselves about what is possible and what's not possible. And the thing is, you don't even know the stories that you're telling yourself, because often we're so busy in the doing, like in life, that we never pause to actually look and see, am I even living the life that I want?
Absolutely. Or we think it's just normal. So we don't even realize that these stories that we're telling ourselves are actual fairy tales, and they do not have to be our truth any longer.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are some of the, when it comes to somebody who is working for another person, or maybe they have their own business, or maybe they're in between and they want to do that. What are some of the biggest beliefs that because again, we have to shine the light on things. Like, a lot of this is in our blind spot. What are you mentioned a few, but what are some of the biggest beliefs that you see with your clients that are keeping them stuck from, getting what they deserve in their current career, moving forward into purpose? And we're going to talk about purpose in another question, because that's a big topic too. But can you just share a little bit about the beliefs that they should be just on the lookout for?
Okay, man, we literally have like 119 beliefs. And only one of them can keep you stuck forever.
Right.
So, but if I were to say some of the top beliefs that we've noticed over the years, one would be, I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. And this can affect every area, guys. Like, I'm not good enough is like, I'm a fraud. I feel like an imposter. Mm-hmm. I can't charge that, because what will they say? Yeah. I can't receive. So I'm not good enough, like, just feeds into a lot of different beliefs as well. But there's another one that touches on money that is so common, which is, you have to work hard to make money. And now, am I saying that, like, I don't work hard? Of course I work hard. I love working. I love what I do. But many people literally do not give themselves permission to receive without slaving away.
Yeah.
And the society and culture has groomed us in this mentality of, if you are not sacrificing and grinding and giving everything and burning out and doing everything on the table, then you don't even deserve to have. Like, you shouldn't receive, and you will not receive. And we carry this story, and it results in many women that overwork, because what starts happening, guys, is when you have this belief, you start to work harder and harder and harder, and you get less and less results, because you're literally creating a situation that forces you to have to work hard. And Leanne, like, this is one of the things I just so enjoy about your journey with us, was where you like transformed into a space of rest. And like, out of this space of restedness, and this is the life that I want to live. And you still have the abundance. And it's like, I don't have to slave away to create this type of life.
Absolutely. And I think the receiving factor, it's not just money too. It's like people won't allow people to do favors for them, help them, receiving love from others. Absolutely.
And even compliments.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
guys, this was one of the things when I was getting out, changing my mindset. I remember I'm married, and we were newly married back then. And, you know, when you're by yourself, you're totally fine. And I would see him now and then. He'd give me a compliment. I'd be like, oh, thank you, you know, whatever. But then we were married, and like, he was complimenting me all the time. Like, he's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, and this and this. And like, at first it was all exciting, but then it got to a point where I would literally see my own brain go like, yeah, right. Yeah. And I was like, this is not right.
Yeah.
Because who else do I want my husband complimenting but me? So I better fix something in this that is not willing to accept what he is saying. And I had to look at myself and look at why is it that I wasn't willing back then. Now I walk by the mirror and I'm like, girl, yes, you know?
Absolutely. Self-endorsement.
That's right. But it often comes out of this place where we are finding it difficult to receive. Yeah. Many of us are good at giving. Yeah. And giving is awesome. It's beautiful. Absolutely. It's amazing. And God created us all to be givers. But if you're not able to receive, then you lose out on a very big part of what life is supposed to look and feel like.
And giving and pouring out until you have nothing left to give, it becomes a coping mechanism. And then we become resentful and the whole spiral. That's right.
Bitter. You know? Yes.
Absolutely.
And tired, and just straight up tired.
Yeah. There's so many parallels to the conversation of, you know, the self-love, the self-image, the body image conversation, and the it's all a receivership, you know?
Yes.
And so one thing that you touched on about, like, you know, the burnout and just feeling like you're just working so hard and that you kind of lose sight of why you're doing it. You know, I think a big thing for me that pulls me out all the time, if I ever get into this cycle, is just coming back to purpose. And so I know, you know, that age old question of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to do when you grow up? And people get into these careers and they're so excited because they wanted to do it. Or maybe they're not excited and they get excited. Or, you know, why people start businesses is they're super passionate or purposeful about something, but then they get stuck in the day to day. And then all of a sudden they're like, why am I doing this? Talk to us a little bit about the purpose conversation and how that aligns with self-worth, net worth, all of that.
So one of the things, when you guys are listening to this conversation, one of the things that you always want to be asking yourself is this where I want to be? Where do I want to be? What is the vision for my life? What do I want? Like, and honestly, the question is really, what do I really want? What do I really want? Until you can ask yourself that question and be gut level honest with yourself, with the answer, you're just kind of meandering. You're just existing. You're just doing. And often one of the things for me, like a big anchor for my purpose, and Leanne, I'm just going to be real, a big anchor for me in purpose is my faith.
Yeah.
And in my faith is a place where I believe in Jesus and I come to him. And for me, I believe like God created us. And when he created me, there was something he had in mind. And I know growing up, like I thought I was going to be a medical doctor. I'm like, thank you, God, that I'm not a medical doctor today. I mean, hats off to all the medical doctors out there, right? But all my life, I thought I was going to be a medical doctor. And when he told me, Toyin, here is the area that I'm calling you to. Here is what I'm calling you to step into. Often it doesn't necessarily go with where we think of, or sometimes even where our heart is. But as you just start walking in that direction, asking and having the conversation, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I was made for this. Like now today I coach and I'm seeing finances transformed and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was made need for this. But I find that this comes out of the place of being willing to ask the question, why am I here? More than money, guys, more than food, all of this stuff, it's going to come, it's going to go, it's going to be done. But what is the impact that I am having on other people's lives? Even if it's your children, if it's your friends, if it's whatever it is, just where is my life making a difference outside of just paying the bills?
Absolutely. And I think we get kind of blinded by like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is what my mom and dad would be proud of, or this is what society deems successful. And it's the same thing with women and their bodies. Like, oh, if I lose weight, then other people will love
what
me.
It looks like.
Or then exactly. This is why I'm supposed to be doing it. Or just the strategy itself. This is how I'm supposed to be doing it, And so the same things align. And then we end up again, everything feels empty and meaningless when we don't have an actual purpose that's bigger than the what.
And the thing. And I love what you're saying, Leanne, because it's true. Like so many of us are literally living the lives that our parents want. Yeah. And we don't even notice it.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. And it wasn't until I started asking, like, guys, ask questions.
Yeah.
And when I say ask questions, ask yourself these questions. Is this what I imagined it would be? Sometimes you literally you've done the job because it's what you did when you graduated college, and now you're 10 years in and you don't want to let go of it because it's all you know and it's your stability. But it's like, okay, 10 years is gone. There's still another 40 years of your life. Do you want to spend that 40 doing something that was a great idea right out of college, but right now it's sucking your soul dry?
Totally. Absolutely. I'm sure the people listening are like shaking their heads. Yes, we've all had that soul sucking experience, and we've all been doing something that lights us up, even if it doesn't make us money. We know the feeling of what it feels like to be lit up when we're at our truest, best, most amazing self. And that's independent of how much money you're making, how much weight on your body, your jean size. It's independent of that because it's so much bigger.
And it's like, find those things and press in.
Yeah.
Lean into it. Yeah. Receive. Be willing to be happy. Like, I know it sounds really ridiculous. You're probably listening to it like, of course, Toyin, of course I want to be happy. Yeah. Many people say they want to be happy, but they don't really. Yeah. They literally don't even give themselves permission to live a joyful life. Yeah. And one of the things that people really have talked to me about, like, that they love about me is that I work hard, but I play hard. And I'm like, I want to get to the end of my life and know that I had a lot of fun doing it. Whatever it was I did.
Absolutely.
Because you can't get this time back, guys. Like, life, whether we like it or not, it's going to throw you ups and downs and curveballs and all sorts of things. And you can either suffer through the process and get to the end feeling drained out, or you can really, really have some fun, even with the curveballs.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is where I really want to emphasize to everyone listening to this. I talk about stressless eating all the time and how it is not a strategy problem. It is a belief. It is a heart, soul, spirit conversation. And so is this. It's a heart, soul, spirit conversation. And when you ignore that and you just look at the strategy, again, that's where we fall into these ruts of just like working like a workhorse, and everything feels empty and meaningless.
That's right. And you go from one coach to another strategy to this strategy. Like, guys, I've seen people who have done 10 different business models and the business hasn't made money. Yeah. Guys, the problem is not the strategy. It's not the model. Yeah. You have to look at the originator, and that's you.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about strategy for a second. Obviously, people are not going to be able to change their entire mindset from this podcast. They need a radical transformation, right? But that being said, if you were to just share like one distinction or one thing that you think would be super helpful to just kind of get the wheels turning, open their mind to a bigger picture, a different paradigm, what would you invite them to see?
Can I share 4 things? Can I share more than one?
We got overachievers here on this podcast. Yes.
Like, let me be really generous. Let's be real generous out here. Okay. The first thing that I am going to say, if you are hearing this conversation and your heart is saying there is more, your heart is saying, oh my gosh, these guys are talking about something that is like, this is it. This is what I've been thinking of. The first thing you must do is you have to stop doing what's not working. Like, you have to acknowledge, like, self-awareness is the beginning. If you cannot acknowledge that the pattern is still there and things aren't changing, you will never change it. So the very first thing you have to do is stop doing what is not working and focusing on the minors. You need to start focusing on the real root things. And the second thing that you're going to need to do is you have to actually discover. So in this case, I'm talking about money mindset. And what I often talk about are these money mindset beliefs and roadblocks and limiting beliefs that we carry. You need to actually get into your heart and figure out, what do I really think about money? What do I really think about myself? What do I really think about food? What do I really think about all these different areas of my life? So you have to discover, what are the limiting beliefs that I have been living under all of this time? And then the third thing that I would tell you guys to do is you have to shift it. You have to. So here's where I am very different from a lot of mindset coaches out there. A lot of people out there will tell you guys, all you got to do is do some affirmations. All you got to do is just declare. All you got to do is just believe, just see it, and it's going to change. And I want to ask you, how long have you done affirmations and believed and and nothing is changing? Yeah. The reason is because we often haven't actually shifted the limiting beliefs. So you're saying these affirmations like, I am worth having a $10,000 month or a $30,000 month or whatever. And your own brain, it's triggering cognitive dissonance. I'm getting science on you guys.
Love
and
it.
Your own brain is responding and going, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Why are you fooling yourself? And it actually starts to firm up and ground in the negative because of the declarations you're making. So that's my third one. I'm not going to geek out on that.
No, but we talk about this all the time on the podcast, why affirmations don't work, because you can't affirm or outsmart or out logic and reason your deeply ingrained self-image and wiring, because your self-image will call BS every time. It knows you don't really feel that way.
It knows. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. This is why I was so excited to talk about this with you, Leanne. Okay. So that's the third one, is you have to actually shift and remove those limiting beliefs. Then the fourth thing, and this is the main thing that y'all need to do, is you need to stop waiting for a miracle. Honestly, most people spend their entire lives waiting for a miracle.
Yeah.
I've had thousands of conversations at this point, and I have had conversations with people, in their 70s, and it breaks my heart, guys. It breaks my heart, because their entire life, they told themselves it's just going to change. It can't stay this way forever. It has to get better, over and over for decades. And then they call me at 65 or 70 and they go, Toyin, it never changed. And so the third thing that I would say to you guys who are listening is, it's not enough to just clear the internal. You do actually need a strategy that works and that will help you to create financial freedom, build wealth, get rest, and create a totally new legacy for yourself and for your families.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen. So, for people that are listening and they are like hearing what you're saying and it just sounds amazing, but they have those like that fear of failure or fear of success, because those are two different sides of the same coin. Those specific beliefs, what do you speak into about that? Or what would you like them to hear about that? Because those are big ones, right? Like, what if I shift and then it's like, well, what if I succeed? And then what if I fail? It's like two different,
And the thing about the fear of failure, so I could have a whole hour-long conversation just about each of those two things, right? But the thing you have to recognize is that, first of all, one person can have both of those beliefs.
Yeah.
So you can literally have the fear of failure at the same time as you have the fear of success. And often that's some of the most frustrating places to be, because you're literally like, I'm doomed if I do, I'm doomed if I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
totally.
And so the main thing that you have to do is you literally follow the same process. You look at, okay, what is it that is causing these fears? What is it that is causing these beliefs in my heart? And you shift this, but you have to shift it at a subconscious level. Yeah. And then you shift it, and then you take the action anyway. So it's easy for me to tell you guys, just go ahead and take the action, right? Just go ahead and do the thing you're afraid of, which is what you guys will hear often, right? Just do it afraid. Just do the thing you're afraid of. But the truth is, simple. It's not that simple. Like, if you still have a fear of success or a fear of failure in your heart, you can take the exact same actions as somebody else, and you will sabotage yourself in the middle of those actions because you're afraid of having the results. And so it's not just about doing the stuff, which is what you will often hear. The biggest tip that I would tell somebody who's listening to this, who feels like, if I'm to be honest with myself, I am really afraid of succeeding, or I feel like I'm going to fall flat on my face and I have no idea what I'm going to do on the other side of that, is let's deal with and remove and shift those two fears first. Yeah. Then you take those actions, then you step into it, and then you're able to actually see the genuine results of what you're putting out into the world.
Amen. Because people might be actually sitting on a winning strategy, but if they have these beliefs that are sabotaging them or keeping them from taking intelligent action, they'll never know.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And you would think that, oh my gosh, it just doesn't work. It has never worked. Like, one woman came to us and she was running a network marketing business. And we have tons of different business models that come to us. But she had a network marketing business. And in her business, she had struggled financially for years. After working with us, she didn't change her business and go, okay, now I'm going to do an online business or I'm going to do something else. It was the exact same business. And she was able to pay off over $200,000 worth of debt in 2 years. Wow. With the same business that she couldn't buy gas with 2 years before. Absolutely. So guys, the problem, like Leanne is saying, I just love this podcast, is like, it's not just about the stuff. You could have a winning strategy and job and business right now and income right now. Right. And it just needs to be, are you comfortable with building wealth? Yeah.
And it could be the other way too. Like you said, shift number one is like, if something's not working, like first, identify those beliefs, obviously. But again, if it's a losing game, as I call it,
that's right.
Like, it's not good. It might not just magically, and you can't, live in optimal, delusional optimism your whole life.
Yes. One of my coaches says, you can't slap lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig.
Exactly. I'd love to see that pig, but still, it wouldn't make the pig any, still a pig. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. Such a relevant conversation. So many parallels. If people want to check you out, and I definitely invite you all to check Toyin's stuff out. She has totally transformed my life in so many different ways. And again, it's not just about the money mindset. It's pervasive. Yes. It's everywhere. Where can they find you? What's the best way for them to cyberstalk you?
All right. So y'all can find me at moneymindset.shift.ca. So not .com. .ca, moneymindset.shift.ca, and you'll be able to see all of the goodness that we bring to this world.
Amazing. Moneymindset.shift.ca. We're representing Canada over here.
That's right.
Awesome.
Oh, and my podcast.
Yes.
I didn't even tell you about this, but yes, you guys can also visit me at my podcast, which is the Millionaire Money Podcast.
Amazing. The Millionaire Money Podcast. I love it. Any last words you want to leave our audience with before we sign off?
I just want to say, guys, if you are listening to Leanne right now, like, she is honestly, and she did not tell me to do this, y'all. I'm doing it by myself. And I'm doing this because I've worked with her in some of the most vulnerable settings that you can imagine. And I just want you guys to hear Leanne is the real deal. Like, she lives what she speaks. Like, if she sees any level of incongruence in her heart to what she believes should be in her life, this woman is dogged about walking in that place of authenticity, like doing the stuff in herself before she brings it to you guys. So whatever it is that Leanne is speaking to y'all about, you need to understand she is not just one of those people that's spouting words. Like, I've watched this woman face her stuff and say, I refuse to settle. I refuse to settle for less. And so all of the amazing wisdom that she is bringing to you on this podcast is coming out of a place of real genuineness. And just as someone who's actually coached her, as someone who's been her friend, I think you guys are in the best hands you could ever imagine when you hear this information from her.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
The truth.
So much. Wow.
Truth.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is just such a beautiful thing to say. And we just appreciate you coming in here and sharing your wisdom. And again, like you've influenced me, and everybody that's listening to this podcast, not just on this episode, gets the gift of that too. So thank you for all of it. So
thank you for having me, Leanne.
Such an amazing conversation, ladies. Thank you for joining us here on the podcast, and we will talk to you on the next episode. Bye.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning into today's show. If you like what you heard and you're interested in breaking out of your own food, body, and diet prison, here's what I want you to do next. Head on over to stresslesseating.com. That's stresslesseating.com. And sign up to watch the Stressless Eating webinar, where I'll walk you through the exact 5-step game plan my female clients use to conquer emotional eating, self-sabotage, and finally heal themselves from the restrictive all-or-nothing diet mentality for good. But without obsessing or spending years in therapy to address it. I've laid it all out there for you in 5 easy steps. Remember, healing your relationship with food and your body does not happen by itself. You need expert guidance to make it happen, and we've helped clients all over the world take back their power from the food and find true and lasting freedom while enjoying life and warm chocolate chip cookies along the way. To see if we can help you do the same, head on over to stresslesseating.com. I'm Leanne Ellington, and I'll see you next time.